my presentation is way too long. I'll try to not to bother you with the details. We translate documents for clinical trials and other phases of medical development, marketing, sales, and so on. Worked with large CROs like Parexel, smaller CROs, local, domestic for US audiences, where people need to recruit patients for domestic trials, let's say lots of Spanish speakers, Chinese, and so on. So all those documents have to be translated, and then patient-reported outcomes translated back into English. That's what we do mostly for the pharma setting. If you can just click at yours, because there's, I will make it brief. So some of our tasks are more complicated. I think I've shared with Heather there a brain research-related validation process where first we translate, then we implement, let's say, online questionnaires so that people can interact with them. And then we have to bring in focus groups and see how they respond to what they see, whether the translation speaks to them, because it's very sensitive about how they feel and so on. So we had to monitor, build and monitor focus groups that looked at those translations, critiqued them, gave us feedback, and we reported back to the client. So those were very interesting parts that they don't come up too often, but this is important to know that such services exist and are required, especially in the field of psychiatric and brain injury. So we also interpret at conferences and train people who need foreign language access. For instance, at conferences we worked for large pharma companies who had training sessions or negotiations, meetings, presentations like this where people come in from overseas. Very often it's training of foreign MDs, let's say, who come here to learn about a new drug. They undergo like a week-long training of artists and so on. Here in Cambridge, we have gigs like that. And training comes in where, let's say, you have, if you're in manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, and so on, you have foreign-born personnel, people with limited English proficiency. You may want to train your workers, or vice versa. We had clients who, say, moved. We had a client who was acquired by a German company, Cambridge-based, by a local here in Boston, Cambridge-based client who said, like, we're ashamed. We go to Germany, they all speak English. We want to be able to speak some German because there'll be a lot of communications between us, so we taught them German. But for more practical purposes, it is very often Spanish that we teach American personnel who deal with Spanish audiences, hospitals, medical organizations, and so on. So the company is relatively small, but we've been in business for over 25 years. We have people all over the world. It's all remote now. We have a representative in Australia, in Sydney, who works remotely from there, and we obviously in Europe and Asia. Yeah, I guess that's a quick summary. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
I have a question. So my name is Bill Pache, and I'm with the American Parkinson's Disease Association. We're involved in clinical trials here in the Boston area and across the country, along with delivery programs and services. One of the challenges that we've had as an organization has been getting
among our clients are some patient recruitment organizations, people who specialize in just that outreach and getting people to join. I observed what they do because we look at the documents, and it's mostly clever medical writing, clever writing. How do you entice people to join the study? You can write a boring copy, or you can write an enticing, give them reasons to join. Our job is just to translate those documents. So we don't embellish them, we don't make them look nicer, we just try to convey that literally and you know, the meaning behind those words. But I think, I don't know if there are any people who deal with, probably Chris knows a lot of people in the area, patient recruitment specialists, I think. And we could talk separately.
Hi, Nicole from Cohen Veterans Bioscience. In terms of diagnosing or getting the first assessment of someone with a brain injury, I know one of the biggest issues is if they're assessed in a language that they're not a native speaker in. So it's very difficult if you're going to a hospital and you don't speak that as your native language. Do you ever work in any of those areas where you're writing these clinical assessments?
We're
Sorry,
not
like
able
we
to-
maybe rephrase your question. I can't hear it back here.
Oh, sorry. I was asking, so if someone gets a brain injury and they go into the hospital, if they're not a native English speaker, it can be difficult and they have difficulties in being adequately assessed. And so I was asking if they have any services of that, or perhaps like Glasgow Home Store, those types of things, and having those translated.
Hospitals, major hospitals in this area, and more all over the country, but in major cities, certainly, they have in-house staff interpreters and also per diem interpreters. We train such people. I know their skills vary from very basic, where you have to suffer through a lousy interpretation. I wouldn't send them to such a sensitive meeting, to people who are really good, but hospitals are short-staffed, and they hire, like if they're desperate to hire another Chinese interpreter, good luck. We train them, we give them 60 hours of training, minimum required, and I don't consider that ideal. Then we offer those interpreters advanced training, let's say oncology or pediatrics and so on, psychiatry, where they have to learn more terms. But it is very tough. It is very tough because if you're a patient who doesn't speak English well, the communication is impeded. And I would, if I were a patient like that or a doctor, I would handpick an interpreter for such a reason. This is not just dealing with a cut or a headache. You know, it's, yeah, you have to be very selective. Call us, we'll get you a good one.